Let's talk about money. I went to a financial mastermind last night where we bared all and talked about our finances and our debt and our income. It was actually really liberating. I don't know if that's the right word. And I think everybody got a lot out of it. Each person had 5 minutes to just talk about their net worth and their debt and whatever. And you had a whole range of a couple millionaires in the room, a couple people that had a few bucks in the bank account, you know. I was actually surprised because this was a younger demographic, younger audience, or younger group, not audience. Most people didn't have a lot of debt. And the few that did have debt, myself being one of them, and I have that on purpose, I'm using it for business reasons. It was a reasonable amount of debt. It wasn't like you were so in debt that you were basically in the red. So most people had a positive net worth, which is good. And it was exciting to talk about money, and I think I'll start talking about it more because the amount of financial illiteracy in the modern world is insane. If you actually think about the corporate American political society that we live in, uh, you're incentivized to spend money, to go into debt. You're fed propaganda from the government, the Fed, pop culture, Hollywood, and they want you to spend money and they want you to go in debt and they want you to buy big cars and houses and do all these things because that is the fiat standard of which we live in. And money's just a very interesting thing. Like if you don't understand it and how it works and you just do what other people do and you just follow all this nonsense, oh man, it's just you're going to be a debt slave your whole life and you're going to probably be poor. And if things get really, really bad, if they really, really crash, then you're going to be really in a bad spot. So I want to talk about burn rate, income, debt, and interest. I got two quotes here to kick it off. The big mistake in this pattern of failure is projecting your subjective lack of comprehension onto the object that you were looking at as irrationality. We make this mistake because we are tempted by a desire for legibility. So actually, I don't even know how that quote got in here. I need to read it a few times to even get it. I'm going to delete this right now. I consider that a man's brain originally is like a little empty attic, and you have to stock it with such furniture as you choose. A fool takes in all the lumber of every sort that he comes across so that the knowledge which might be useful to him gets crowded out. Or at best, is jumbled up with a lot of other things so that he has a difficulty in laying his hands upon it. Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Scarlet. Fun little quote. So the thesis is, don't fill your head with junk. Be cognizant of what you're letting into your brain. Be cognizant of the content you're consuming, the people you're listening to, etc., the people around you. You become exactly what you let into your reality. So what about money, right? Well, what's your burn rate? Now, here's the thing about personal finance and business. Most people have no idea how much money they make, and they have no idea how much money they spend, right? Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets improved. How are you going to improve something? Or even make sure you're not going into the red every single month if you're not making sure you're not going into the red every single month. You cannot grow your wealth if you don't even know what your wealth is or what you're bringing in or what you're spending, etc. So your burn rate is your monthly expenses. Now, I have a spreadsheet for this that has my rent, my electricity, health. No, I don't have health insurance, actually. Not worth it. And I'm healthy, so whatever. What else do I have? Phone, Spotify, Netflix, which I'm actually getting paid for free now because I have this crypto.com card I found, which is kind of interesting. Might want to look into that. Food, average grocery bills like $1,000 to $1,500 a month, I think. Miscellaneous spending, random stuff I buy on Amazon. Like I have these all in a bucket on a spreadsheet, and that is my expense. That's my monthly burn rate. What it costs to live in my current lifestyle with 2 kids and supporting Allison. Then I have my income. I know what my salary is. I know what my dividends are on average from some of my stocks that I hold. I know what my crypto earn yield is right now. I'm staking a few things, mostly Bitcoin, and I'm also messing around in a few DeFi projects for fun. And I think I'm able to put away about $2,000 a month after all that is said and done. And that's just my income. It's nothing to do with my assets. I have my net worth, which is mostly based on my assets. Think of that as my balance sheet. Businesses, it's called a balance sheet. It's your assets, it's your liabilities, whatever. And then I have my cash flow, which is my income and my expenses. That's what a profit and loss is for business. So I can store between $1,700 and $2,000 a month without going into debt or going into the red. This was more when I lived in a bigger house because we had a big mortgage now, and we were actually going to the red every month. And so we downsized, made some money in that property, moved back to the city, and now I have some extra money that I can put away. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I actually have a goal of getting to $10,000 a month in mostly passive income. Most of my income now is from my salary from my work, so it's incumbent upon me to earn that, right? I want $10,000 a month where I don't have to do anything, where I can literally wake up and then bam, the money's coming in. And then my goal for life is to work less and to read more and to just record videos like this, which I already do, but spend more time with the family, travel more, do things like that. And at this pivotal time in my life, 36, I feel like I'm so close to getting there. And I have, a bit of financial security. I'm definitely not wealthy. I'm definitely not, I guess it depends on who you ask or what the standards are. We're definitely very comfortable. But there's so many more people that have way more money than me. And I just feel like I'm a little at risk still because of that. I want to have a little bit more, and I want to have that income. I want to have that cash flow. I don't want my average monthly expenses, and we don't live an extravagant lifestyle, and I don't spend a lot of money and stuff. I buy equipment and buy stuff. Most of the time it's a write-off. I want to just have enough where if I want to eat out, I don't really have to care about the bill, right? I'm not to that point in my life. That's actually kind of a funny metric. I literally want to be able to go to a restaurant and buy whatever I want, even though we don't eat out really much anymore. But I want to go to a nice restaurant. I want to get a nice expensive steak every so often. And I want to not care at all what the bill is. I used to do this quite a few years ago, and I was spending a lot eating out. And then I really tightened up, and then having kids and whatever, and paying more attention to my balance sheet and my P&L, I become more sensitive to this. But I want to get back to that place again where I cannot care at all, because I know that I'm always spending well under what my mostly passive, and I say mostly because most things aren't fully passive. I have an Airbnb property that's mostly passive, but it's still some shit I have to do, right? Mostly passive income is what I want, and I want it to be enough, which the goal is about $10,000, that pays for the entire lifestyle, and I have some extra money left over, and I can travel when I want, I can buy food when I want, whatever. So that's my goal right now. I have a very, very crystal clear number, $10,000 a month in monthly cash flow that is not based on my salary or work I have to do. It's based on investments I have, assets I have, okay? So I'm actually looking at buying some brick and mortar cash flow business. I'm looking at a pack and ship store, maybe some laundromats, things like that are very, very easy to run, very streamlined. I might actually do a food concept. I'm thinking about doing a pretty interesting fast casual food concept. That might be in the works. I might just do that on the small end just for fun, and then see what happens after that. I'm also looking to buy some websites and things like that. Okay, but that's me. I guess the takeaway for you, no matter what your financial situation is you need to know your numbers. First of all, you need to know what your burn rate is, and you need to know what your income is. I use Wealthfront to connect all my accounts. And then you can manually add assets, and it pulls the balances from the different bank accounts and stocks and things like that. It's kind of like Mint, but I like Wealthfront way better than Mint. Mint's just bloated crap ever since QuickBooks bought it, or Intuit, or whatever the company is. So I use that, and then a spreadsheet for my cash flow stuff. And it's really nice to look at what my balance sheet is, what my net worth is on a regular basis, and then also what my cash flow is. Because again, what gets measured gets improved. So burn rate, what your lifestyle is, first, you have to know that. Then you have to figure out how to cut that, reduce that, maybe have some budgets. I have an idea for budgeting that I think we're going to put into effect. So there's always online banks that you can get free interest, or not free interest, free no fee accounts, right? It's the new thing. Online banking, all on the web. Most people get direct deposit, and you can transfer money around, no fees, okay? So I'm going to probably get a few of these, and my idea is to have one account for my rent, electricity, maybe my life insurance stuff, my big consistent expenses that don't change. And then I'm going to have one for food, because food is my single largest expense after housing, right? As it is probably for you. So all my groceries, anytime I have Chipotle, anything that is food related, I'm going to put on that account. and then I'm gonna do one for miscellaneous expenses, and then I have my business account, so that's for business transactions, write-offs, things I buy on Amazon, and like crap like this, right? I used to, or as of right now, I'm putting it all on one credit card and getting the write-offs, or and if it's business, I go to the debit card to that account. And so when I log into my credit card account, I see like all these transactions, some's food, some's gas, some's this, whatever. And it's just hard to get a simple bird's eye breakdown of exactly what I spent or am spending or like what my budget is at. Whereas if I have them in separate accounts, I can then just look at the number for the past 30 days, the current month, and I can see exactly what I've spent thus far and have an idea of like how close I am to my budget. And then subconsciously, and this is where the power of budgeting comes in, it comes in when you have an idea of what you've already done and what you have room to do, right? Most people delude themselves. Our brains are very, very good at deluding ourselves and very, very bad at actually remembering things and remembering data and remembering numbers. If you don't consciously sit down and look and track your stuff and budget like on a regular basis, you have no idea what you're spending, you know? Chipotle bowl, $15 here because I got guac. Restaurant I ate at was $50 there. I went to Whole Foods, it was $200. And it actually, every time I go to the grocery store, it's way more expensive. Like, that's inflation for you. That's why you have to buy Bitcoin. Well, you know. So that's my idea for budgeting. I'm going to track that. If you aren't spending as much, or if there's less people in your household, or if it's just you could track this on like one account. And some of these online accounts do have ways to tease out the kind of transaction, and it can give you like pie charts and stuff. And I think Mint does that and whatever. But I just won't really expend the energy to do that. I want something super simple. So I think the multi-card technique is going to work out. And what I'm actually excited about is a new Apple update. They're coming out with this digital identity wallet where they're really taking the wallet to the next level, where you can have your ID and you can have all the different cards and everything. I want to get that and have all my cards in there and then cycle through each one and then swipe it for the right thing or scan it or whatever. And then bam, I'm automatically tracking everything. Everything is into a siloed different account. And I'm using no-fee banking, which everybody should be doing. Okay. So there's a couple of options for that. There's Mercury Bank, that's for startups. There's Blue Vine, I think that's business. There's Oxygen is one. Simple used to be one, but they shut it down, so not Simple anymore. There's, I think, Chime is one or something like that. So there's a few of them. You can find them. So burn rate is the first thing. You have to know what you're expending to live. Okay, if you don't know that, it doesn't really matter what you're making. Now, if you're making tons and tons of money and you just always know you have extra coming in, then okay, sure. But most people, what they do is they spend up to what they make. And then if they're really not paying attention, or they're really feeling depressed, or trying to fill holes into their, fill their subconscious yearnings and whatever through spending and shopping and drugs and food, then they go into debt to do it even more. Okay. You have to know your burn rate. Okay. Second thing is income, right? What are you actually making? This is very simple. If you have a job, you look at your W-2 or your payroll stub or whatever. What actually shows up in your bank account, not counting taxes, whatever. What net shows up in your bank account, okay? Do you have any other sources of income? Do you have any investment income? Do you have any side gigs you do on a regular basis? Put it on a spreadsheet, right? It's very simple. It's like, okay, income. Let's see here. Salary. Let's say your salary is $5K. Let's say dividend stocks. Average, because they pay you quarterly. So let's say it's $200 a month, averaged out. I don't know, coaching or something. You make like $250 a month. You have a client, or you're training somebody or something, right? So this puts you at $54.50. All right, income. Now burn rate. All right, let's just do hypothetical. And it's funny because like obviously this is stupid simple stuff, but putting this on a spreadsheet, and you know what? Let's do it. I got this little icon, which is sheets.new, which immediately creates a spreadsheet for you. Most people don't know about that. And let's go back over here. Let's put this in here, and let's just do something super simple. All right, let's get these on separate cells. So I can do formula. And then income. Oh, this is income, right? So we got sum. Your income. You can format however you want this, right? Your income is this. Your burn, let's put your burn over here. We can put this up here. And let's do rent, electricity, water, trash. Mine's all bundled together. HI, maybe you have health insurance. Mm, maybe you have, so obviously food, you have phone, missed stuff, right? And let's just say 150, we have like 70, we have, let's say 500, let's say it's just you. You're paying 150 for health insurance. I don't know how you are, but maybe you are in a alternate reality. Uh, Electricity, let's say it's like water, trash, 200. Let's say your rent's, one person again, $1,000. Okay. And honestly, it's better to put them down here. So let's do it this way. Let's do formula here. Don't want to autofill that. Okay. So you got expenses. Now we can just do a quick net thing. You can also move these over here for ease. And so what you do is you do sum, and you can target that to any cell. So sum, right? So this sum equals this sum. So if this changes here, that changes because that changes, right? And then we're going to do this here, sum, expenses, got it, right? Now we do a very simple formula, right? We do formula here. We do sum, we do the income minus expenses, right? And you're left with, bam, some solid monthly profit. This is your human profit for you as a human, right? That's a great amount. I don't even make that much every month. I don't have that much left over after supporting family, okay? Like I said, though, my goal is to get the $10,000 completely outside of what I'm currently doing. So then I will technically have about $12,000 in monthly profit that I can use to buy Bitcoin, to buy real estate, to do all these other things I'm doing. And over the course of 3 to 5 years, the more I do that, the more I'm funneling as much money as I can into assets that are going to keep appreciating and growing, and also being protected against inflation from the government's incompetence. The more I do that, the closer I'm going to get to that place where I have this perpetual money machine. The thing is, most people, if they were given $1 million right now, or they could acquire $1 million in a lifetime, and they invest it strategically, and they buy some growth companies, and they have a mix of things, maybe a little precious metal, some Bitcoin, some, other things, right? Dividend stocks, whatever. It's actually not a lot you can really buy right now, to be honest. And so that's why my brain's kind of having a hard time picking things. But maybe you bought a car wash or a business or something, or you invested in something. If you took $1 million to do that, and you put it into these investments, and you let it sit there, and you let it accumulate, you don't mess with it, and you keep reinvesting dividends, you will be set for life. Your family will be set for life, right? There is still so much opportunity to become financially free for not as much money as most people think. Most people will say things like, "Oh, you need $5 million now to be financially free," or whatever. It's like, no, you could take $1 million and actually just go live in Mexico or Philippines, even if you had no investments, and you could just live off that money for the rest of your life, right? It's even smarter to put it into investments and have a strategy, and then let the cash flow and the investment of the dividends and all the different ways that things grow, the Warren Buffett style compound interest, as Einstein said, compound interest, the most magical thing in the universe, or whatever the hell he said about it. That's the better strategy, because then those assets grow to this point where they're this behemoth, where they spit off money to pay for your lifestyle, and then you keep letting it do that while reinvesting in, and then eventually you hit this inflection point where let's say you're generating $10,000 from your assets as my goal, right? Well, I'm going to keep making money while I'm doing that. And I'm going to keep trying to funnel money into more assets. So I'm going to be at this 10K level for a while. Let's say, hypothetically, I was spending 10K and I was making 10K. So my assets aren't really growing. They kind of are, because usually the value of assets grow. But let's just say the income isn't growing, and I'm kind of at this place where I'm not reinvesting. I'm pulling in 10K, I'm spending 10K. Well, you do that for a few years, plus you're making money doing other things, as most of us will do. I definitely will do that. And then I'm going to keep funneling more money into my assets to have more of them, so that 10K that I'm making and spending, I'm going to get it up to making 12K, right? And then that extra 2K comes out above my lifestyle, goes back in, and then it keeps going incrementally up, and then my lifestyle stays the same as it should. I shouldn't be spending money on boats and yachts and other nonsense, right? And then over time, this keeps growing. And then the extra cash flow that comes off of your investments that go back into your investments eventually hit a terminal velocity where they keep growing itself. It grows itself. It's a perpetual money machine. That's what I'm talking about. That's the goal. That's what we want. And that's why keeping a simple lifestyle, keeping your expenses low, keeping your burn rate low, and continually reinvesting into assets, especially ones that grow and can produce cash flow to regrow, right? Compound. That's how you eventually achieve financial freedom. And it can be done without actually having to live in a major metropolitan city in the United States, in Austin, like I do, and without having to have a burn rate that's like $8,000 a month, as I do. It could actually be something closer to, I'm going to go live in Mexico or Philippines or whatever, and I'm going to have this huge house and all this amazingness and local awesome food and tropical lifestyle, and it's going to cost me all in $3,000 a month. There's literally places in the world you can do that. And with the internet, you can still stay connected. And I can still record videos. And I can still like be so much into the culture I was brought up in. Although I don't really think of myself as like in American culture, and the things that American culture people are kind of into. I'm not into it all. I'm much more into, yeah. Anyways, I won't get into that. So this is a very quick intro on just like the very broad view of how to achieve financial freedom. The first principles, as I love to do with everything, okay? You have to know what you're expending. You have to know what your burn rate is, and you have to know what you're making. And then you have to know the difference. I think it's delta. Is delta definition. So delta in finance. Yeah, this doesn't help me. I have to read this 4 times to get it. So I think it's delta, which is the difference between, I think it's the difference between, income and expense, or cost basis and growth. And like, it's that difference. So you have to know what you're actually able to save. Because as I say, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? It's what you keep to reinvest and to grow your wealth. Every human on the planet, think about it this way. You and every human on the planet is a micro business, right? You have your own balance sheet, which is your assets, and you have your own P&L, which is your income and your expenses and what's left over. Do you have profit left over every month, or are you even worse, accumulating debt and going more into the red? Okay. So I'll probably do videos. I'm going to start doing more videos on this. Honestly, I might even do a whole new podcast on finance. I really enjoy talking about it. I've been studying it for years, and I still feel like I'm a complete noob, though I do have a pretty good grasp on my strategy, and I'm pretty confident in my financial strategy and what I'm doing, and it's been working out pretty great, actually. So this is just me sharing that and talking about other ideas. And also, I feel like in finance there's so much nonsense, there's actual blatant scams, and there's a lot of bad information that people just follow the pack, and they follow what people talk about on TV, or their friends do, or their uncles do, or some financial advisor to me is like insanity. And I'm sure some are good, and I'm sure some are worth it, maybe, but like, I just feel like if you are your own business and your wealth is up to you, it should be your responsibility to know what you're doing through wealth and managing it and investing it a certain way and having a strategy, rather than just trying to give that to someone else whose values might not align with yours, or even worse, who's just doing what everyone else is doing to protect themselves from liability, right? You don't want returns from somebody who's just following the crowd, because you'll get the same returns as the crowd. All right, that's gonna be it. Subscribe, get on the newsletter. Most important thing, Colin.coach, Colin.coach. Get on the newsletter, the Better Human newsletter, or actually it's just my newsletter, where everything gets posted. I have the Better Man podcast, the Better Human podcast. I'm going to get back into recording. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm excited about this. Let me know if you want me to cover anything financial. I'm going to start talking about this stuff. I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship a little bit, business a little bit, whatever I want to talk about. And I think you'll find value. I really do. So I will see you. Will I see you? I'll see you in the next one. Yeah.